So here's a walkthrough from these questions from data last week. So we need to download all these Senedd members' expenses. So we go to this link, and over here on the right we have export to CSV, and that's all fine. And I'm going to save this on my desktop, which is important so that I'm able to find it afterwards. So we save that. And then I will go to the Google Drive and I will make a new spreadsheet, which you might want to do in your Google Drive. Where do you find your Google Drive? You click on Drive, and then you can make a new sheet. We can import the data that we've just downloaded by going to Upload, and then finding the data with the CSV file, open, and insert a new sheet, and that should all be fine. So it's good, we might as well revise all the stuff about how to work. Let's give this thing a name. Just click in here and call it Senedd Expenses. Then I'm going to right click on this and duplicate. So I got exactly the same thing. I'm going to double click on the tab there where it has a name. I'm going to call it D. Double click here and call that original. And I will delete this sheet. Okay. So now that I have a sheet to work in, I'm going to go to View, Freeze One Row so that I can see my column headers and make them bold by selecting the whole row. And that's it, I think. Oh, also going to have a look at the date, which looks like this. So it's given us a date and a time. I'm going to change the format. So it is a number, but I'm going to say it's a date. And hopefully that will get rid of that extra time stuff that's empty. So there we go. That's what I wanted. Now, what are the questions? The largest single expense. Okay, so I'm just going to sort by going beside the F and finding the drop-down menu, Z to A for big to small. And there it is, it's 11,000. Actually, the numbers are a bit of a shambles because there's no commas, there's decimal points. So I'm going to select the whole column, go to Format, Number, and select Number. Now everything has commas and decimal points. I'm going to get rid of the decimal points, or hide them rather, using these arrows. So now the numbers all line up. 11,880 is the biggest single expense. Smallest expense, I'm going to sort from A to Z. Okay, there's a whole load of minus and zeros, but here we go. Here are the smallest expenses. These ones. Photocopying, mileage, there's a whole batch of them. Okay. Actually, is there one that's... I wonder if I put in some decimal points. Yeah, there we go. That's the smallest one. I lost it when I rounded it all off. So there you go. Somebody claimed 30p in mileage. Okay. I don't think we're going to need decimal points again after that. Next question. Earliest and latest date in the data. Well, if your dates have behaved themselves, we might be able to just sort these. Yeah. So if it understands these are dates, we can see that it goes... Well, it goes from the 1st of April 2025 to, so that's command down arrow, if you want to jump, to the 30th of June 2025. So it's 3 months, except we have these extra 2024 dates as well, which I wasn't aware of. It's kind of annoying. I don't know why there are 2024 dates in there. But this is what you get with data. So we will deal with that as we go. So the earliest date is the 5th of June 2024. Maybe these are mistakes. Maybe they meant to say 2025. You can see the bill date. Oh, the bill is June 2024. Anyway, we're not going to get bogged down in that. We'll deal with it as we go. Okay, earliest and latest dates. Which two Senedd members claimed the most money? Okay, so for this we need a pivot table. Insert pivot table. And And then we need to say, put all the members in rows and put the money, which is called value, into values, which is a bit unfortunate that they've got the same name. Maybe I will redo this. Delete. And let's rename value as money. It'll be a little easier to follow. Insert a pivot table. Okay, I want members in the rows and I want money in the values. And I want the whole thing aggregated by sum. So add up all the values that you get for different members. I want to sort it not by the names, but by the amount of money. And I want it descending, please. So there we go. I think that was the question. Yeah, who claimed back the most money and then who made the most claims. So that's Natasha there, who claimed 20,000, and James, who claimed almost 18,000. And now if we adjust this from sum to count, so instead of adding up all the different values, they're going to just count them. And it's still descending, so we see it's this Darren made 61 claims and Sam made 54. Okay. What are the 3 expenditure types that generate the most money in expenses? Okay, so this is the same kind of question. I'll just cancel everything, except now we want, is it expenditure type? Yeah. So expenditure type, rows, and then we put the money into the values column. And it's the same thing. Sort by the sum of money, descending. So 3 expenditure types that generate the most money and 3 that generate the least. So the expenditure types that have the most claims in terms of money are office rent, Cardiff accommodation, council tax, and Cardiff accommodation rental. And the least, we just jump down the bottom, and we see legal expenses, electrical goods, like someone bought a cheap kettle, and glasses. Okay, the next question was 3 allowance types. These are a bit less interesting, I think, if I recall. So we just replace expenditure type. When we've got no rows, they add up all the money together. Allowance type, put it in rows, and you can see sort by sum of money, sort descending. Yeah, office costs, additional costs, whatever they are, and then mileage. Okay, add a column to show the month. Okay, how do we do? Well, we've finished with the pivot table. I'm just going to delete it. So there's the date. There's a couple of ways we could do this. We could insert some empty columns, and then we could say select these dates, and we could go split text to columns and tell it to split by /, and there we go. And then we could name this as month and this as year. Actually, I will do that because it's going to be really handy to have the year if we're going to sort out these weird extra values. So we'll just rename this as month and day. The other way you could have done this is if you had something like 30//2024, you could have said equals mid, and then tell it what to look at, and then tell it where you wanted to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the 4th character, how many characters you wanted to count, which is 2, and you would have got 0.5. So that would work for just extracting the 0.5 out of all of that, but actually we're better off with this. If you need to resize columns, a batch of columns, all the one size, you can select them all and resize one, and then the 3 get resized in the same way. Okay, which month had the most claims? Well, now that we have something for month, we just insert a pivot table, and we will say month, and we put in the money. We take out these totals because they get in the way. So it looks like it was June. Now that happens to be the month that has some 2024 month. So what I'm going to do is put year into the filters. And that way I can filter out 2024 and see if, no, it's the same answer, whether you include the 2024 Junes or not. Okay, which member made the most claims in a single month? So for this, because we want to compare all 60 Senedd members, I think we're going to put them in as the rows. So you can see all the people. And the question is about money, isn't it? Nope, made the most claims. So we can put in money, but we're going to ask for it to be counted. So there's a count of the amount of claims. And then I want months. Which I'm going to put months into column. And take out these totals. So, and for a simple solution, I'm just going to take out 2024 again. So we'll filter that out. Now, how do we find the biggest number in here? I think we'll do the same thing. Just we'll have to compare. I mean, we could do something like equals max, and then select all these numbers, and that would tell us at least, okay, the biggest number is 26. Now then you have to establish where the 26 is, and there's probably several of them. We could do that with Control F, and we could see who had 26 claims. So Adam Price did, Sam Rowlands did, and that's it. That's just 2. So you could also sort here, not the columns. You could also sort the rows by the money. And then you have an option. Do you want to sort it by month 4? Descending. There we go. So it's now sorted by month 4. And you can see the biggest for April's were Russell George. We look at month 5, and you can see it's 26 for Sam Rowlands, who had a May. And then we can say month 6, and it's Adam Price. So we get the same answer, just in a different way. All right, now we need a list of MSs. So they work for you. Download this list as a CSV. MSS. Go back to the same. I'm going to delete this pivot table. Then import, upload, MSS. Insert a new sheet, please. And they're there. Okay. Use it to create a column of party affiliation for the politicians in the expenses data. Okay. Make sure you freeze the cell references with $signs. Okay, so let's make a new column in our data set and call it party. And so then we want to say equals VLOOKUP, open brackets. What do you want me to look up? Lynn. Where do you want me to look? I want you to look in here. And I'm just going to select all the names and parties. So that's B2 to C61 in my case. When I find the name that you've given me, where do I go? And you go to column 2. So if it finds the name, it goes to the second column, which has the party. And then the last argument is false, because I don't want any approximate. I don't want you bringing back things that are approximate. I want exact answers. So there we go. Lynn Neagle for Labour. Let's organize this. There she is. Okay. Now, I didn't do what was asked. I need to freeze these ranges, because if I don't, when I do this, it's going to start moving the reference table down. So instead of B2, it says B3, and then it says B4, which is often helpful, but not in this case. So B $2, C $61. And when I do that, the table references don't move. Okay, so there is our affiliation. We've got a bunch of problems here. It's a good idea to make a filter here. So data, create a filter, and now we can filter for just anyone who's returned an NA problem. So you can see, and then I'm going to sort here by clicking on the drop down A to Z. All right, so this guy's a problem because I suspect they're missing part of his name. Where is Alan Rees? Let's freeze this and alphabet. There he is. So if we change his name so that he has his full name, he gets fixed. Great. Next, conservative group leader. There's no way around this because there is no reference for conservative, but presumably whoever this is in the Conservative Party. So we can just manually write that in and then drag it down and it'll apply that everywhere. Dawn Bowden. Now, the problem with Dawn Bowden, the reason it's not finding it is because there's a double space here. So we could either fix it here or we could make a double space in the other one. Let's fix it here. That's a single space. And now, oh, I did the wrong one. There, it's a single space. And if I drag that all the way down, it'll fix all of them. Oops, forgot one. Okay, now what's wrong with this name? Oh, there she is. Let's just take it out. Baroness Mayer. Let's just give her name. And that fixes that. Now, what's the problem with this? There he is. Okay, so that's his full name. We need to replace that with his full name. Then it'll all work. Same thing here. We don't have any. That doesn't appear in our table, so we'll just put in Plaid Cymru. Now, this person, Shan, I suspect, yeah, there she is. We're going to replace her accented A with an A. There's Shan. And that's it. Okay, so now we can take off the filter. And everybody has a party. Now that everyone has a party, which party claimed the most money over the period? So now it's just insert a pivot table. Put the party into the rows, put the money into the values, add them all up, and sort them by sum descending if you like, and the answer is Conservative Party. Actually, I'm going to filter out the 2024 stuff again. Okay. Remove Andrew Davies. Which party claimed the most money? Okay, this is an excuse to use a filter. That's what that is. So we can take him out. And that's not going to change very much. What percentage of the total expense bill over the period was each party responsible for? Okay, so basically that's how does it break down? Let's get rid of this filter on Andrew Davies. Now, you could, if you got the total figure for this, which is 462,545, you could say, well, what's the percentage for Conservatives? It's that divided by, oh, I forgot what it was. Let's just put it here. Okay. We could say, if we wanted percentages, equals this divided by the total, 37%. Okay. And what happens if we drag this down? That's not good, because it's changing. Yeah, so we do want the B3, but we do want this reference to B2 to move if we were to drag it down so that it becomes B3, but we don't want this reference to change. So I'm going to put a $sign in front of B6. That's not a $sign. That's a $sign. Okay, so now what we should get if we drag this down is 166 B3 divided by the same 462 figure, and we get 35. It's a pretty easy way to see if this is working, because then if we get a sum of these, it should be 100. Okay, so 37% for the Conservative Party. 37% of all this money was Conservative claims, 35% was Labour, 25% was Plaid, and 1% was Lib Dems. Now, that works, but you can also simply ask the pivot table to do this for you. Our values, where are they? Yeah, so we have an option here which we haven't looked at, which is when you put in your values, you have to decide if you want them aggregated by adding them all up, or sometimes we like to count them. But here, show as default, or as a percentage of the row, or a percentage of the column. I think what we want here is percentage of the column. So if we click on that, yeah, we get 37% for Conservative, 35% for Labour, 25% for Plaid, and 1% for Lib Dems. So, yes, we have it here in the question. You can calculate it, or you can use the percentage option. How does this compare to its percentage representation in the Parliament? Okay, so the last bit here then will be, if these are all the members, then now this is carefully not updated, but all we need to do here is make a pivot table, and then in the rows we're going to put party, and then we are going to put, it doesn't really matter what we put in, but let's put name. It's going to have to count them up, and we can see that there are 16 Conservatives, 30 Labour, 1 Lib Dem, and 13 Plaid. Now these are slightly out of date because it's not 30. Anyway, we can again ask, show it to us as a percentage of the column, and then we see 50% Labour, 26% Conservative, 1.6% Lib Dem, and 21% Plaid Cymru. So we can see that for this 3-month period, which is in no way representative, presumably of the year or the term of the Parliament, we can compare them and see that the Conservatives are claiming more in terms of money than their share of Parliament would suggest. Labour are claiming less. Plaid are claiming 25, just over what their value in terms of seats, and Lib Dems about a little under what they have. And that is it.